Following the critical success of Shin Megami Tensei If, Atlus Japan releases the first title in the Persona subseries, known at the time as Megami Bunroku Persona. Set in Mikage-cho, it follows the story of several high school students who, after playing a game called Persona, are given the power to summon reflections of their personalities in the form of demons with the same name. The silent, nameless protagonist, referred to as the boy with piercings, soon discovers that the town is overrun by these same demons. From there, the story branches into two paths: the main storyline, where the protagonist confronts the party responsible for the demon outbreak, or a subsidiary one, focusing on an urban legend in relation to a theatrical play. For some reason. The game saw one of the most successful initial launches Atlus Japan had ever seen, capping at 200,000 copies on its first week, and received very positive feedback for its approach to the genre. Cut to only 2 months later, the North American release, Revelations Persona, finally comes out. Who the hell is that? In this rendition, the entire subsidiary storyline, along with most Japanese cultural references, were outright deleted. Persona and location names were recast worse than the Mario movie reveal trailer.
The fuck?
Who will be played by Chris.
Let's take a look at a few of those.
Demo. Everybody knows who Demo is. It's actually my favorite Street Fighter game. I think that stands for demon. What's the point? What's the point of changing one Indian guy to another? Voodoo. This one's just called Voodoo. Really?
You have to wonder, what kind of sick, out-of-touch 60-year-old corpse did they give full creative control over this? You need a full trepanation or a lobotomy to even think up half of this shit. The literary award, however, has to go to some of the character design alterations. I guess the protagonist was deemed too gay, so they got rid of the earring and all references to it. And I guess they really like redheads. I'm not even gonna touch that one. The official reason for all of these changes was something along the lines of wanting to avoid offending Judeo-Christian sensibilities. You could make it sound more like bullshit if you tried, but it is worth noting that this happened shortly after video game censorship made it to actual Congress hearings because Mortal Kombat was deemed too violent, ultimately leading to ESRB ratings being established. So that might have had something to do with it. I couldn't really tell you at this point though. To this day, the PS1 release of Persona Revelations remains the uncrowned king of botched localizations of a video game ever made. And today, I want to take a quick dive into the world of video game localizations. What makes them good? What makes them bad? What makes them questionable, but maybe I'll give them a pass? Find out in today's episode of... I don't know, I haven't figured out this part yet actually. First things first, let's define localization. The dictionary description of it is the process of making something local in character or restricting it to a particular place. Some of you might include financial investment, variable costs and returns into that, but I'll be using the term to describe the effort made into changing an original product, in our case a video game, to fit more with a different culture or locale's market, just so we're all on the same page. The first and most important factor to a localization is by far the translation effort. And what better example is there than one of my games of all time? When I first ran into The Great Ace Attorney, it was this obscure title that I'd never heard of, tucked away in some cobwebbed corner of the Google Play Store. And it is criminal how long the worldwide release for this game took. It's atmospheric, its characters have some charm and wit to them, and while the concept of an inexperienced hatchling being placed in a foreign, hostile environment has been done to death, the story manages to keep itself fresh and entertaining with, unbelievably, real consequences that affect the main cast. Take notes, Disney. Speaking of a worldwide release, there's 2 ways to experience this game. The first is by playing the official Steam or console versions, which have the full duology and Capcom seal of approval, and the other is, more complicated. Now that you're completely caught up to speed on how to access both, let's go over the differences between the two. Remember when I said the story for this game featured an inexperienced protagonist being suddenly thrust into a hostile environment? That meant mostly this guy. He had enough presence and impact for me that if I were to rank all prosecutors across the entire franchise, he'd take first place by a landslide. The original writers spared no effort into making him as intimidating and antagonistic as possible without being overbearing. It's something that's communicated through his mannerisms and dialogue perfectly well, while clearly drawing the line from actual racism for him in particular. The rest of Britain is blatantly xenophobic, but we'll put that aside for now. That atmosphere is present in both the original and the Scarlet Study version, but some bumbling old codger thought it was a good idea to take all of the edge out of him, effectively turning him from an intimidating rival to a very cordial co-worker. What? Xenophobic undertones in 19th century England? That never happened. As much as it's understandable to want to distance yourself from any semblance of political commentary in today's gaming landscape, that should never come at the cost of quality. Obviously, these damaging attempts at censorship aren't limited to only this game. There's many more examples out there where developers are either lazy, hold a misguided sense of justice, or just think nobody would notice. The translation. English in Japan is not the same English for the rest of the world. I don't know what the hell, who the hell, or how the hell they come up with this shit, and quite frankly, I f***ing love it. We're in the 21st century with unlimited availability for learning opportunities and ways to fact check anything before going public, and yet they still manage to f*** it up somehow. Roll the clips, Jimmy.
I am a boy!
Next one. Please give me call.
Never change Japan. For a localization team, however, this raises an issue of faithfulness to both the original IP and real-world dialogue. In our case, while both versions have their own appeal, the fan translation has so much more charm than the official one, as financial incentive can affect a product's quality negatively in some cases, and I think this is one of them. Going for a PG-13 rating while minding US copyright laws and eliminating all potential causes for a possible negative public reception are obviously all important for a corporation. Not so much for a disgruntled, bald consumer. Does that mean that fan projects are always superior to their official counterparts? Is the greedy 60-year-old helmsman truly the biggest evil of them all?
Maybe you got rid of that old yee ass haircut.
English voice acting in video games is such a weird experience. You have all of these titles with top-of-the-line voice acting that breathes life into these fictional characters so competently, because all of the people involved achieve this unprecedented level of synergy. You have foreign games with English as the intended language that are in no way inferior in that department. And then you have...
That was impressive, Kazuma-chan. Yeah, Kazuma Kiryu-chan.
What did you do, Nicole? Oh no! They ran away! I didn't know I was traveling with such big power! Dice bread, fried oil, and boiled in water.
I wouldn't even be complaining if these were funny bad, but a lot of these are just sad. It's not that uncommon to find games with subpar or bad voice acting, but localized ones are hit way harder than most of them. But it doesn't end there. I remember in Dragon Quest XI, a game where the English voice acting is actually alright. You know, for the most part. But the definitive edition for this game comes with 2 audio tracks, and if you switch to the Japanese one, you'll notice something rather peculiar. Did you catch that? None of these are the character names you see in the UI. This wasn't a copyright issue, it wasn't for better symbolism, and it gets even weirder when you realize some names are relocalized in the German, French, and Spanish UIs, so it's clearly not to improve the quality for the target locale either if you can hear the inconsistencies. Well, at least they acknowledge it. Keep in mind that a lot of issues similar to this one, whether it's the removal of the original audio track or seemingly illogical changes, could very well be due to licensing issues. Kind of understandable for a small company, almost inexcusable for the big boys. If you expect me to take your plot seriously, shit like this needs to stop. There's an interesting discussion on the topic I ran into on a gaming forum that I'll be leaving in the description for anyone that's curious enough for more details. Alright, let's recap what we learned here today. A good video game localization is one that stays faithful to the original IP, but still applies changes when appropriate without damaging the source material, makes as few purely financially motivated changes as possible, with enough leeway for legal issues, does not have unnecessary name changes, looking at you, Capcom, provides all languages for the player's choosing when available, that means no sad dubs either, and most importantly, ditches the stupid-ass anime grunts. Seriously. Whoever came up with them with a broken broomstick. Wait a minute. My god. You guys know what this means, right? If my math is correct, then Dynasty Warriors 3 is the perfect game.
Brother, let's go. The rats are gathering. Don't be so hasty.
You flaming idiots! Take this! Feel the power of my